The Sabres get some big games from their young guys to get the win in Nashville. Talking about it coming up on the Locked On Sabres podcast.
Your Locked On Sabres, your daily podcast on the Buffalo Sabres. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody, and welcome in to this Wednesday edition of the Locked On Sabres podcast. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you listen to your podcast. You can watch our show on YouTube at the like and subscribe button if you are watching along with us today. You also can get into our Locked On Sabres Everydayers Club. Some of the perks that you get if you do sign up for that, you get ad-free versions of this show wherever you listen, and you also can get into our Locked On Sabres Discord, which is a lot of fun to have as a little bit of a tool during these games and, of course, throughout the days as well. LockedOnSabres.supercast.com is the place to sign up. Sneaky Joe DiBiase following the Buffalo Sabres win over the Nashville Predators. 5-3, the Sabres win in Nashville. We'll go through the entirety of the game. We will go through some of the big production games we had from the young guys. We'll look ahead. We'll look at the standings and a lot to get to on today's show, including also the near collapse, which we have a lot of those recently. And we had almost another one in this game. I've got thoughts on that as well coming up on today's show. Good bounce back win, though, from the Buffalo Sabres after falling in Carolina, falling against Minnesota. You don't want to stack up these losses, and you have a different goalie in net, right? Alex Lyon getting his first start since December 29th, so almost a month since he had been in the lineup. I thought he was great. But there was one bad goal, and we've had a lot of games like this. Ellis had a game like this, and Luukkonen had a game like this, where you feel like pretty good about the effort, but there's that one goal that's just holding you back from calling it a great effort. So I want to talk about that in a little bit when we talk about the collapse that really underwent, and they almost blew it. I mean, they were up 4-0. It got to 4-3, and they needed Peyton Krebs, who has kind of become the empty net king, to ice the game away late with a full ice empty netter, near full ice empty netter for the Sabres to finally sauce it away. So in this game, though, I mean, we're not going to bury the lead. We're going to get right to it. All the things that we saw in this game and the good things that we saw came from the young guys. What a game from the kid line. Noah Ostlund, Zach Benson, and Konsta Helenius were incredible, especially in the first period as a line. And it is what carried them to win that hockey game. Now, one big reason, and Lindy Ruff spoke to this a little bit in his post-game presser after yesterday, is you play a back-to-back, and some guys, some lines are going to have more juice that second night. Depends maybe how much your line played the night before and how tough were your shifts when you were out there. And did you get stuck on the ice more times than some of the other guys? So they play Carolina, hard-fought game, physical game, playoff type of game, tight, down to the wire, and they were pushing, and they couldn't get all the way there, and Dahlin looked exhausted, and Tage looked exhausted, and Tuck looked exhausted, and they get through that game, they don't get the win. You go into Nashville, and, if I had to guess going in, which, by the way, apologies for no show yesterday. I had jury duty yesterday, and I was expecting to get there early, but as if you ever had that, you can't really ever predict that. So didn't get out of there until like 4:30 in the afternoon. So did not feel that it was worth doing a show with an hour or two before puck drop to preview a game like that. So anyways, that game, I would have guessed, okay, the line that you might expect will have their legs are the young guys. Right? Tie goes to the young guys. And you've got a line out there where nobody is above the age of 21. Noah Ostlund, who, funny enough, is the oldest of those players. He is 21 years old. You have Benson, who has the most experience on that line. But as we know, Benson made the team right out of the draft, so he still finds himself only 20. And then Konsta Helenius, who's only playing in his second NHL game, he's 19. So make sure he's still 19, by the way. He was at the beginning of the season. He is, 19 until May 11th. So a 21-year-old, a 20-year-old, and a 19-year-old. I'm going to guess they were the ones that were going to have their legs if you told me somebody was going to have them. And they dominated in the opening period. Every shift that they had, it was, they're buzzing all around the net. And when you look at all three of their goals, two of them really, I should say more than the third one. The third one is just a sniper goal that we'll talk about. The first two are effort goals, battle goals, where, yeah, you're moving the puck around and, you're creating chances. They'd almost scored on one opportunity before one of the Ostlund goals, but both goals are, you're just out fighting dudes in front of the net. And the line is not that big. I mean, Lindy talked about how he thinks the world of Ostlund after the game, and he gives him a comfort in putting together a line like that is so young, because Ostlund plays like a veteran. He is so good down low. He is very responsible defensively. He just sees the ice very well. We know Benson is all of those things as well. And both of Ostlund's goals are, you're around the net, you're beating your man to a puck, a loose puck, and you're getting goals the hard way. Now, the first goal is a little bit of all right, you got a bit of a break, right? Like a puck, is bouncing around and, it could have fallen to anybody, but there's Ostlund charging to the side, and he's able to he's kind of going to extend for that shot. So he moves his one hand a little bit higher on his stick, and he's able to get that one home, put it kind of top shelf also. So you get that goal from Ostlund, and Benson is fighting in front of the net. And again, Helenius, I wondered if he was going to get a penalty. I hadn't seen the action. All I saw was after the play, the Nashville defenseman's stick was broken in half, and Helenius was standing there. And I wondered, did he just slash him or something, and they're going to take this one off the board? But they did not. And you watch it back, and they shouldn't have. So he's fighting, though, in front of the net. And part of why the defenseman is tied up and he is not able to get to that loose puck, and Ostlund is because he is busy with Helenius in front. Ostlund scoops it up. He puts it in. Now, the second one is a masterclass by Helenius in terms of like how you win in front of the net. They've got two guys in front, and you've got Power releasing the shot. And Ostlund spins off his man, Barron, spins off him and gets behind him. And Barron is watching Power. So you catch him napping for just that split second. And the puck bounces to you, goes off Helenius, I believe. And then you are at the back door with the puck, no one around you, and the whole net, tap in backhand. Another savvy play, smart play by Ostlund to not just stay there. And like, you were in a shot lane, so you're not doing a disservice, a harm by being there. You are creating a screen, but it's almost like he had eyes in the back of his head, or he just felt the situation. He knew somehow, well, Benson's already in front and he's got a defenseman on him. So already got a screen there. I'm not going to stand here and create more traffic. We already have traffic. What I'm going to do is spin off, and I'm going to get to the back door on the chance that the puck bounces to the side, and then I'll be the only one standing there. And that's exactly what happened. That's an instinct play. Like, he's not computing all of that and thinking about that quickly. That's an instinct thing. Knowing that you got to get to certain areas of the ice that are the most dangerous, and he is very, very good at that. So he gets 2 goals, his 8th and 9th goals of the season. Helenius got the assists on both of those. He was a big part of both of those shifts. He's the story of the game, though, because not only does he get those 2 assists in the first period, the goal he scores with just a couple minutes to go in the first period is awesome. It is a break-in play with Peyton Krebs picking up a puck in the neutral zone. Nice little cut to the middle to get around the guy standing still. And then he flows into the zone and throws the puck to Helenius in the middle of the ice. And a wrist shot from decent distance over the shoulder of UC Saros, bar down to get him pulled. Unless maybe he got pulled after the Tage goal. Maybe he might have got pulled after the Tage goal. But that is, I wonder if that was special for him beating Saros, because he's a Finnish kid, and Saros has been a great Finnish goalie for a long, long time. And the shot that he puts on to beat Saros is just awesome. And he showed off that, okay, that's going to be a weapon of his. This guy's got a shot. He's got a shot. And that was a show-off right there, a show-off goal. Like, oh, yeah, I've got a release. I've got a big release, like someone that can maybe play on the power play someday. I just was thoroughly impressed with his play overall. Every one of those shifts, playing on the wing. He's played more center in his career. So not a tough adjustment, I guess, for him there. Playing with two other young guys, showing off that shooting skill that he has. First Sabre I saw to have a 3-point night in his first 2 games of his career. Pretty great. Pretty great. And again, all of those points came in the first period. And when you're playing on a back-to-back, build your lead because you might run out of gas at some point. And we'll talk about that next. But all credit to that line, the kid line. We might have to come up with a nickname. We might have to come up with a nickname for it. Ostlund, by the way, the more and more I hear Lindy talk about him, just how is this guy ever going to exit the lineup again? It's not going to happen. It shouldn't happen. Helenius might come down to a numbers game. We'll see if he's able to build a consistent game to game to game, and maybe he can stick. But he's got an uphill battle just because of how many forwards they've got. Although Beck Melenstein might have dealt with a little bit of an injury, so maybe there's another forward position that's opening here. Norris, we know, is week to week, and so on and so forth. By the way, very quickly, before we get to the near collapse, we should talk about the fourth goal very quickly. I thought it was a great play by Alex Tuck. Alex Tuck with speed. You don't have really a great zone entry working here. You don't have a great rush. Nashville's got numbers coming back, and they've pinned Tuck to the wall. The only thing he can do is the thing he does. You can't really, you could chip this puck and go in deep. Nashville's going to get to it first. You kind of have to force a turnover if you're going to do that. Your alternative is throw on the brakes at the half wall, get the defenseman to overcommit. He does, and wait for somebody else. And in this case, it's your best goal scorer. It's your elite sniper in Tage Thompson, who rolls down and then is able to get that shot off, bar in, past Saros. And I think that's the one that got Saros pulled. So great little play by Tuck and a great finish by Thompson, who, by the way, is now up to 26 goals on the season. When we come back, what about the near collapse? We've had a couple of these. I think they're all a little bit different, and we'll get to what I think about this one and how the rest might have played into it coming back here on Locked On Sabres. Today's episode of the Locked On Sabres podcast is presented by Indeed. If you've ever hired someone who looked good on paper but wasn't the right fit, you know how important that is. When you want candidates who will truly match what you're looking for, trust Indeed sponsored jobs. Hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed sponsored jobs will put your post at the top of the page and will help you reach the right candidates faster. If you needed to hire somebody, for whatever, and you're struggling to get your job post seen, Indeed sponsored jobs will help your listing stand out and will reach quality candidates faster. Sponsored jobs will boost your post to the people who are the best match for your role, and that makes a real difference. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed are 90% more likely to report a hire than non-sponsored jobs. Spend more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with less stress, less time, and more results using Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of this show get a $75 sponsored job credit to help give your job that premium placement it deserves at Indeed.com/locked-on. Go to Indeed.com/locked-on right now. Support the show by saying that you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed. Sneaky Joe DiBiase back here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. Sabres win 5-3 over Nashville. They were up 4-0. The game got close. It got a little bit hairy. Now, think the end of the second period. Tage makes it a 4-goal game at the 4-minute mark of the second. Okay, so you got 16 minutes to go in the second period. And really from there, it was probably the last 10 minutes. Maybe it was right after Ryan O'Reilly scores on a delayed penalty. It's the middle of the second, and they're moving around. It's a nice little give and go. Forsberg and O'Reilly, he cuts to the middle, and he gets one past Alex Lyon. Not a terrible goal for Lyon to give up. Maybe you want to save. And Nashville cuts it to a 3-goal game. And I'm still thinking, all right, fine. You're good. 3-goal game. I am thinking about, though, and I was the whole time that Nashville started pouring it on, about how the Sabres had played the night before. They'd played a physical game. They'd played a tight playoff style game against Carolina. And that can take a lot of energy out of you. And man, did it. Or at least it looked like it did. The end of the second period, it looked like the Sabres ran out of gas. And they could not get Nashville out of their zone. And it's pretty incredible to me that it didn't end up being 4-3 going into the third. So O'Reilly makes it 4-1. And a minute and 45 seconds later, this happened with Luukkonen. This happened with Ellis against the Rangers. These comebacks to different degrees. The Vancouver one against the Sabres a couple of weeks ago, they're up 4-0 and they almost blow it. It's 3 goals by Vancouver. And it was 2 quick ones. In the New York game, Ellis gives one up at the beginning of the third. That's only a 2-goal lead, a little bit different. But the similarities in a few of these games lately are, I got that 1 goal that goes in that either demoralizes the Sabres or fires up the other team that shouldn't go in. And Luukkonen let a couple of those in this year. And there was the one that New York scored when they were in Madison Square Garden. The Sabres hung on, that was scored on Colton Ellis. And in this game, it's the Forsberg goal. O'Reilly and Forsberg, they strip Ostlund on the wall. So you got the kid line out there and they're in their own zone and you get that strip. But you're still good. Everyone's in good shape. Like, they're on the wall and they're actually below or like right around the face-off dot. So that's not a good angle. And you're on the wall. And Forsberg, I'm sure not trying to score, but just trying to create a rebound and more chaos in front of the net because they had caused a lot of that in that period. He's just trying to get a bounce, or he's trying to get a deflection, or he's trying to get a rebound. He throws that puck at the net from a horrible angle on the wall, and it found its way in. And that can't happen. And it has happened now with all 3 Sabre goalies this year. Now Lyon gives one up. Otherwise, I liked Lyon in this game. He made some incredible saves. We'll talk about a couple of the ones he made in that second. But that goal can't go in because now it's a hockey game. Now you're in a game. Now it's a 2-goal game and you got half the game left. Almost. That's brutal. So, again, lucky they didn't leave that period only up 4-3. I don't know how. The play where the shot comes in from the side and Lyon makes a great saves. It bounces up into the air. It falls behind him. This puck could have just bounced in on its own. Or Luke Evangelista, he has 3 whacks at it. And there's nobody there. It's on the goal line. The slightest contact with his stick. Fanning on it. Anything. You get 2% of this puck. You're whacking at it. You get 100% of the puck, it's in. You get 2% of the puck, it's in. And it's in the air, he misses it. He swings at it and misses. It bounces. He swings and misses. Then he gets a third opportunity. And now Byram is kind of there, I believe, or Metza, and you got a little bit of contact that maybe makes it harder for him. For Evangel, I'm watching like 77. How do you not get that puck in the back of the net? So you got a little lucky there. And Lyon did a good job to fall on it in the way he did. Man, even that could have threw the puck in the net. The hockey gods were on their sides with that one. I can't believe that puck doesn't find its way in. But it doesn't. And you had other scrambles around the net. You got point-blank chances. Lyon made an insane pad save on O'Reilly at the back door where O'Reilly couldn't lift it, and Lyon threw the pad out, and he got the save. I can't believe they made it out 4-2. And that was big because you go into the third, and I thought they played better. They weren't as chaotic-y. They weren't as panicky. They settled in, and I thought, had some good shifts. They were preventing chances, keeping them to the outside. I mean, you look at where that period ended up in terms of scoring chances. The Sabres had allowed, get this, at 5-on-5, the Sabres had allowed 17 scoring chances in the second period. And in the third period, they allowed 7. So much more composed. You still got that goal that O'Reilly found its way in, where you let him in backside, and he's able to blast it by Lyon with a nice shot. He's been scoring goals this year. I think that's 18 for him now this year. And then you hang on. You grip and you hang on. You're playing the second of a back-to-back, and I want to say I want better from them. I want them to be more composed in that second period, but I'm not going to blast them for, building a lead and then trying to hang on. Because when you play a back-to-back, you're going to have to win games like that sometimes. And again, you don't want to let it get that close. They need to do a little bit better, or even a good amount better. But I'm not going to blast them because they played a game that sometimes you're going to have to play when you've played the night before. And Krebs, again, gets the empty netter. So the story of this game is the kid line. It's Konsta Helenius. It's surviving because you played the night before and you're on the road. You travel from Carolina to Nashville. It's a really good game from the Sabres, even if it came really close to being a total disaster. When you play Vancouver earlier in the year, I'm less inclined to excuse you for that, because when they almost blew it against Vancouver, they're up 4-0 in the third, right? And there's only 10 minutes left, not 30 like in this case. And you're at home and you had 2 days off in between games. You do that, and I'm not holding back. But you played the night before against a good team on the road, and I'll give them a little bit of a pass, but not totally. All right. When we come back, we'll look ahead a little bit, but also what we're now seeing happening around them in the standings and where that currently sits. So big picture look when we return here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. Today's episode of Locked On Sabres is presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. FanDuel's officially in playoff mode in every playoff game day during the NFL playoffs. FanDuel's giving customers even more ways to get in on the action. Right now, every NFL playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack that is waiting for them inside the app. And each game day, you'll see a pack that is loaded with multiple profit boosts that you can apply to the bets that you like the most. Open that profit boost pack first thing on a game day. See what boost you want to apply. The boost will let you lean into your game day instincts, whether you're backing momentum, defense, quarterback play, or coaching. The boosts give you more juice on the bets that you already like instead of forcing you to bet something new. And every play will feel bigger. The boost will make your bets feel that way as well. So make your picks, apply your profit boost to go even bigger on the payouts while the playoffs are rolling. Visit FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. All right, back here on the Locked On Sabres podcast, we got to take a look at the standings and some of the things that we're watching around the league. I want to share also, this is when you know that we're back, all the way back, is I'm not just tracking now on a night-to-night basis and looking, in the morning, all right, who lost that's on the Eastern Conference that was on the West Coast? What happened in the this game, Florida? What, was one of these teams recently that I've been watching? But now I'm going to, let me throw up a second screen. Last night I did that for the first time, and I plan on doing that a lot because I get into it when there's a race, and there is a race right now. So I'm watching that game last night for the Sabres, and I got that on the big TV. And then on the laptop, let me throw Montreal, Minnesota on. And, not a great first experience doing that because Montreal, who's down in that game, and Minnesota is a very good team, and yeah, they're on the road. But actually, sorry, Minnesota was down. They came back to tie it with about 7 minutes left, and then Cole Caulfield with 15 seconds left wires one past the goaltender, and you get a win for Montreal in regulation. I'm going, because I think the Habs are gettable. And at the moment, it's now a 4-point gap between Montreal and Buffalo, with the Sabres having one game in hand, and that's who they play next, by the way. So big game. They could close to within 2 points of Montreal with a game in hand if they were to beat them in regulation in Montreal on Thursday. So I'm doing that a little bit, and I think it's definitely recommended to stay plugged in like that. It helps your interest in the league. What else we got? We got Dallas beating the gears off of Boston 6-2, and the Bruins had won 6 in a row. So that's really good news for the Sabres. New Jersey beat Edmonton last night, but really what I'm seeing now in the East is we're starting to see a little bit of a gap developing, where right now the Sabres gap between teams that are outside of the playoff picture, they're 1 point above Boston and have a game in hand on Boston, but Boston is in a spot at the moment. Teams that are not in a spot, you're 3 points up on Toronto, same games played. That's within striking distance, right? Like, that's not a huge lead, but it's a nice, it's not a 1-game lead. And then I got Philly, Washington, New Jersey. I got that next tier of the Metropolitan Division, who are all 5 points back of you. The 5 number feels just a little bit sweeter, feels a little bit more comfortable. Doesn't mean that those teams couldn't track you down if you lose games or they go on a hot streak, but we're starting to see a little bit of separation. Everyone was really packed together, bit of separation, right? You've got a 3-game losing streak by the Capitals, and they've only won 3 of their last 10. Philly's only won 3 of their last 10. New Jersey's playing .500 hockey lately. Florida has only won 4 of their last 10. Like, you're really seeing some of these teams start to take that little bit of a dip. And at this point in the season, with the amount of teams that are in it, like, you can't afford a dip generally. So right now, you're looking at it and say, okay, maybe this ends up being like a 3-team race for 2 spots. That'd be nice. And at the moment, you're also 2 points up on Pittsburgh, but they have that 3rd Metro spot. So really, Philly and Pittsburgh could fight it out themselves. You stay above one of the 2, and you're in good shape. So, I think the standings are looking pretty good at the moment. And you still got games in hand on a few teams. All that's starting to be whittled down to like 1 in most cases. Philly even actually has a game in hand over the Sabres, but they're 5 points back. So I think the standings look good, and keep playing. Like the 10-game win streak was ended, but how many games now since that 10-game win streak has ended? I think we're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, we're right at that. So they went 10-0 on the previous 10-game segment. 20 points out of 20 points. Perfect, and it's what got you back in it and into the position you're at. The last 10 games, 6-3-1. That's your last 10 since the 10-game win streak. If they're able to do that and get, that'd be 13 of a possible 20 the rest of the way, that probably makes it. If you definitely want to make it, maybe you need a little bit better than that. In fact, I could do the math on that. I could figure it out for you. But 6-3-1 every 10-game segment the rest of the way, because you have a little bit of a lead here, that should be good. That should be good enough. So I'm optimistic the way the standings look right now. I still don't believe in Boston. They might make me crow on that because they've had a couple of torrid win streaks this year, and they just finished one up after losing last night in Dallas. Like, the quality of team around them, I don't think Boston is all that good. I don't think Philly is good. I don't think that Washington is that good. I wonder about New Jersey and Florida. Florida is 6 points back of the Sabres right now, by the way. So it's nice to have that buffer from them, because I think with Tkachuk coming back, that could be dangerous. But I like the way it all looks at the moment. All right, Montreal next. We'll talk about that game tomorrow. It's a big one. Huge game against the Canadiens. Talk about it then. Thanks for listening. As always, here on the Locked On Sabres podcast, you want to talk more about it with me and with others of our listeners, you could go to lockedonsabres.supercast.com, sign up to be in our Everydayers Club, and you can get into our private Discord. Talk to you tomorrow here on the Locked On Sabres podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network.